Today we're going to talk about the power of keeping your thoughts captive. The good book states that we should keep our thoughts captive. We should hold our thoughts and keep them captive, and then make sure we examine our thoughts. And as we examine our thoughts, then make sure that the thoughts that we dwell on are wholesome thoughts. The thoughts that we dwell on are thoughts that builds us up. The thoughts that we dwell on are thoughts that are uplifting. You see, thoughts become things. Yes, your thoughts become things. Let's talk about passion fruit. I like the passion fruit, Frank, because it's so unique. You know, whenever you walk up to a scaffolding, a wood scaffolding, you make a wood scaffolding, and as you make that wood scaffolding, you plant that passion fruit seed. And as you plant the seed grows like a vine, and it runs up the scaffolding, and it runs across the scaffolding. And as it runs across the scaffolding, at the opportune time, you will eventually have passion fruits bearing on that vine. When those passion fruit bear on those vines, some of them are green, but in some of them, they become ripened. They turn bright yellow. And as they become ripened, you could even smell them from a good distance away. In order to harvest them, you just gently go and you pick them off the vine and you collect them in a bowl or bucket. And as you collect them in that bowl or bucket, as you're gently harvesting those passion fruits, those are the passion fruits that you'll use to get the juice. It's amazing because the scaffolding illustrates the way we want to create our mental way of thinking. We want to make sure the right structure is in place in order for us to think wholesomely. So that means we have to make sure that we have the right apparatuses, the right books, the right things that we are meditating upon that will create that scaffolding for our mental processes. You see, as you harvest this passion fruit, you take it into the kitchen, you'll wash them, and then you place them on your cutting board. You get your knife and you cut them wide open. But you'll have a big bowl with a strainer. And what you'll do as you cut these passion fruit open, you'll empty these passion fruit just like you empty a cracked egg into a saucepan. You'll empty these passion fruit into the bowl, into the strainer. And as you empty all of the contents of these passion fruits into the strainer, you could smell the nice savor. You could smell the nice smell of passion fruit radiating throughout the air. You know, the aroma of passion fruit just erupts in the room. And that's the same way you want your thoughts to be good thoughts, because those thoughts erupt in your life. Those thoughts are what create the contents of your life. You see, as you dwell upon things that are positive, as you dwell upon things that are wholesome, they bring about great things in your life. You see, as you put that passion fruit into that strainer and you gently take a spoon and you apply some pressure to that passion fruit, it causes the juice to go through the strainer. It causes the nectar to go through the strainer, because all of that is small enough to go through the strainer, but it's left behind seeds. Seeds that you don't need. Seeds that you don't need for the juice. Seeds that you will discard later. Seeds that are not good. And that's your negative thoughts. So you want to always examine your thoughts. And as you examine those thoughts, you have to be able to take out the negative ones and discard them. There's key ways in which you could capture your thoughts. One of the best way that I do to capture my thoughts is that I love to think out loud. Because you see, when I think out loud and I speak things out loud, I'm able to catch myself. I'm able to check myself. And by being able to check myself, I'm able to extract the good and throw away the bad. I love also to read out loud. When I read out loud, I not only hear it with my ears, physically, but I hear it with my spiritual ears. And you see, and as I hear things and I'm thinking about what I'm reading, then it builds me up. Because what? I choose only to read things that build me up. I choose to only read things that edifies me, that builds me, that add character, that add substance, that add knowledge to my way of thinking. So as I read it out loud, it's very hard to think about negative things. It's very hard to dwell on negative things because I'll be thinking about what I'm reading out loud. Another thing that I do is that I listen to wholesome things. I always remember that adage, garbage in, garbage out. So therefore I listen to the music, the right music, music that edifies me, music that builds me up. I love listening to audible books, you know. Audible is one of my favorite places, my favorite apps on my phone. But I don't just have novels and stuff like that. I don't read those, by the way. I usually have books of substance, things that I could learn from, things that will motivate me, things that will expand my knowledge. And as they expand my knowledge, they give me wholesome things to think about, wholesome things to dwell on. And that's another way that I do. I listen to things that are wholesome. I listen to music that edifies me, music that builds me up. I don't listen to any music that tears me down or have any negative connotation with it whatsoever. All what I listen to is music that is wholesome, music that will edify me, and music that will build me up. I surround myself, and in every conversation that I have, I always build people up. I'm always pouring out and elevating and building people up. I try not to be in conversations that are negative or gossiping or anything of that nature that tears things down instead of building things up, because the fact is, garbage in, garbage out. Another thing that I do to create and to keep my thoughts captured is that I dwell upon the contents of the good book. I like reading the good book out loud. I love reading out loud, as you could see. I like reading the good book out loud. And I like memorizing scripture verses, because by memorizing those scripture verses, I'm able to encourage others while I'm talking to them. I'm able to build them up. I'm able to encourage them with psalms, with hymns, and with the spoken word. And I make it a habit to bring life into every situation. I make it a habit when I come into every situation to lift people up. I make it a habit to give them a hand up instead of a hand out. I make it a habit to be that oasis, that river of life, that person that always pours positive contents into other people's lives, that person that sees the potential in someone else and extracts that potential, that person that extracts the gold from within someone and bring it to the surface, that person who skillfully mines their potential and brings their potential to the surface and highlights their potential. I see what's there, and I extract it and I bring it to the surface. So hence our conversations are uplifting. Hence our conversations are positive. So that's another way that I use to guard my thoughts. Thoughts are one of the most unique things in our human lives. But you see, the fundamental factor, we have to learn to capture our thoughts. We have to learn to capture our thoughts. Do not dwell in the valley of negativity. Do not dwell in the valley of gossiping. Do not dwell in the valley of unforgiveness and strife. You see, if you forgive, you let go of those negative thoughts. And as you forgive and you let go of those negative thoughts, then you replace those negative thoughts with wholesome thoughts. Thoughts of kindness, thoughts of love, thoughts of grace, and those seeds will grow. So whatever you think about, whatever you dwell on, will start growing in your life. And you want what grows into your life to be wholesome things. So that's why it's so important to take your thoughts captive. Don't sit around and ponder about what's on the news and watch hours and hours of the news, because it doesn't matter. A lot of times we disguise it and we say we got to be aware of what's going on around you. I'm not saying not being aware. I get a short synopsis of the news every single day. I know what's going on. I'm aware of what's going on, but I just choose not to sit down and dwell on it, because anything that you put into your mind, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Be careful, little eyes, what you see, because what goes into your eyes have access to your soul. What goes into your eyes have access to your thought pattern. What goes into your thought pattern will literally transform your life. So if you want your life to grow in a positive way, if you want your life to grow into a wholesome way, make sure the things that you're feeding your mind, the things that you're dwelling up on, are wholesome things. You see, that's why I choose to watch positive things when I'm watching television. That's why I choose to read as much as I choose. I read because, you see, when my mind is on idle, it could only think about those positive things. When my mind is daydreaming, it only comes back to those positive things. When what I put in is what I'll definitely get out. And we're going through tough situations. People are going through a lot of hardships. And you see, the one thing that people want in their lives is hope. So people want people to deposit hope into life, grace and love into their lives. So therefore, that's why it's so important that we're able to capture our thoughts. So go out there and just like a skillful fisherman, capture your thoughts in the net of wholesome things. And as you capture those thoughts in the net of wholesome things, then what is released will be something that's wholesome. And then all the toxicity will go away. The more you wash your mind with wholesome things, the more you wash your mind with things that are uplifting, things that will build you up, is the more you create a habit and a culture of things that will build you up and things that are wholesome. The more you have people that are speaking into your life that speak things that are wholesome, is the more you attract people like that. Like attract like. If you want to see changes in your life, start being the change that you want to see in your life. And all of a sudden, things around you will start changing. So go out there and have an awesome growth day. And don't forget, hit the subscribe button below. Hit the subscribe button below. Hit the subscribe button below. And when you hit the subscribe button, don't forget to select the bell. But because by selecting the bell, it gives you the wonderful opportunity to be notified every time I add a new video that will speak life into you. Feel free to share my videos with all of your friends. Feel free to share them with your family members, your co-workers, anybody, and encourage those people likewise to share it with each other and to share it with others. God bless you and have a wonderful day.